There's a concept in the psychology world that is thrown around quite a lot. It's this idea that you got to fake it till you make it. When you're struggling with mental health problems, the last thing you want to do in the world is to appear normal. Put the energy into trying to appear like nothing is wrong. Fake it till you make it does work, but also it can be a deadly trap. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's STP. Let's go.
Welcome to Shattered the podcast.
Sharing the lived experience of mental illness on
A father,
A mother.
A family.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
when my depression set in and my anxiety, I couldn't function in the real world. I didn't want to function in the real world. Even if I did want to, I couldn't. I was just so consumed with despair, depression, and anxiety. The thought that somebody was about to attack me at every second of every day. That my that my psychologist suggested that I try the fake it till you make it. I did that for 3 years. I worked in the public service, and every day I faked it till I made it. Problem was, initially, it was a good thing. I came across as myself, the myself that I prefer, confident, engaged, uh, able to do any job put in front of me. I'm a hard worker. I look for ways to improve process. All things that I just do naturally. But I tried to cloak it in this persona of a happy person, the person I was before I was injured. Did that for 3 years and truly didn't understand when I had a massive breakdown. Just, I didn't get it. Little things that would normally have never set me off were destroying me. And I didn't know what was going on because I was faking it till you make it. I was doing all the other things I needed to do. I was taking my pills and doing all this sort of stuff. But when I had my breakdown, we realized that a lot of things weren't working for me. I'd been operating on the wrong medication, and I'd been so focused on faking it till I made it and that I wasn't worried or caring about where my mental health was at. Now, I have to say at the outset, sometimes fake it till you make it is a good thing. I say that to my kids often. We're about to go to something. We're about to go to a restaurant. They're about to go to a party. And I say, okay, for just 5 minutes, I want you to just pretend that you want to be there. I want you to walk in and just say hello to everyone or the people that you're comfortable with. And I want you to do the rounds and I want you to just for 5 minutes. And after that 5 minutes, you can do whatever you want. Often that 5 minutes is the icebreaker. They come in, they look engaged, they feel engaged to the people around them, so they are engaged. And after 5 minutes, they're their natural selves just getting involved. They're not sitting in a corner watching screens. Fake it till you make it in that situation is a good thing. Often mental illness symptoms will pass. You might fall into a deep funk, and we know that if you just be patient, that soon that absolutely deep, desperate sadness will lift because you've got evidence for it. You've seen it before. It's happened before. So you may have to go to work on that day. So you decide to fake it till it becomes reality. You pretend, hoping that your lie will become truth. I am happy. I am pleased to be here. I am happy to see you. There are some positives. It can prepare you for a situation. I'm going to walk into this situation pretending confidence that I don't feel, and hopefully my natural ability will show up. sporting event, acting, a job interview. There's the thought that a positive generates a positive. If I think the best of a situation, the best will come from it. My kids going to a party, going to a thing for 5 minutes, pretend that you want to be there. I know that you don't want to, but for just 5 minutes. And then their natural inclination to have fun and be engaged kicks in. So they've faked it and then they've made it. It can also help when you have a mental illness to be able to exist. I can't go to the grocery store, or if I can only be there for a little while. This is an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that everything is fine just while I get this shopping done. So you just go in, you do your best, you accept whatever results come from your actions, and then you go home. Again, another fake it till you make it. You will get through a difficult situation. The problem is that when faking it till you make it becomes your reality, it's unsustainable. Like I said, I went for 3 years working in the public service in jobs that I hated. Every minute of every second of every moment in the public service was torture for me. I had to dress a way that I didn't like. I had to act in a way that I didn't like. I had to ignore the waste that I saw. You know, coming from the front line of caring for people with disabilities, you know that at times people are living in houses where you can't get a big enough microwave or a new microwave because the clients are all on a pension and they have to save up to buy that. And then you walk into a room of public servants and they take a hour and a half morning tea, and you think about the wages that just cost. So every little time that I saw staff wasting time or goofing off, or, you know, this 3 o'clock sign off thing. From 3 o'clock, I just turn my computer off and I just wander around until it's time to go home. The people that would do that would drive me crazy. There were so many things that were not good for me in that situation, and my faking it till I'd made it. Well, I never made it. I seemed to. I progressed fairly quickly through the ranks at the public service as soon as I learned the rules. But it was debilitating. And after that, I had 2 years where I could barely function. That was my breakdown. That ended up in the period when I tried to take my own life as well. All right, so what are some of the problems with fake it till you make it? And I think you need to look at this like a buyer beware thing. If you're thinking about telling somebody to fake it till they make it, understand that there are positives, but there can be negatives, particularly if it's prolonged. Okay, so for me, why it was bad, reason number one, I never faced the reality that I could not do what I was trying to force myself to do. I get job offers all the time at the moment to work in the public service. I don't know why or how, but I just get these phone calls. Mark, are you interested in a position at Department of Defense? Whatever. No, absolutely not, because I know that I know that I know that that is not a healthy environment for me. I know that I can't work a 40-hour week. I know that I can't work a 30-hour week. I know that I can barely work a 20-hour week without it severely impacting on my mental health. I just can't do it. I can't engage for that period of time. So for me, it was this, I was faking it every single day, and I was getting home and I was like, maybe tomorrow will be better. Maybe if I just keep faking it, I'll be like all these people that can just come into this job and just do it and go home and appreciate the obscene amount of money that they're throwing at us to do it. I just couldn't. I never faced the reality that I was physically and mentally unable to do that kind of work in that kind of environment for that duration of time. Maybe if I worked 1 day a week in the public service, I could do it. But I wouldn't be giving my best. And I would continually feel like at the end of the day that I'm wasting taxpayers' money. That's just the way I think. I never faced up to the reality that I was never going to make it. It's exhausting. This is reason number two. You think that, you know, just going to work and being there is no problem. Why can't people do that? I used to think that. I used to be like that. People would take sick days. I'm like, what do you take sick days for? I was working as a casual in Sydney in the late 1980s, 89, 90. And I was working as a casual in disability houses, and me and a mate were competing for how many days that we worked as casuals without a day off. And neither of us had had a day off in 3 months. And we kind of looked at each other and went, "No, that's not really sustainable." But I was 19. I was, at the beach every day when I wasn't at work. And a lot of the times at work, I was doing fun things like taking people to school or taking them on excursions or taking kids on the Manly Ferry and back. I was having a great life. And I didn't need or feel the need to fake it at all. I didn't have to. It wasn't something that even occurred to me. But if I tried to do that now, there's no way I could. Because getting up that energy to fake it, you're thinking, so let's go through a situation that might make it easier for you to understand. So, on a bad day, I wake up in the morning, I don't want to get out of bed. Well, I don't want to stay in bed, but I don't want to get out of bed either. So I'll sit in, maybe do some scrolling, maybe do some reading for a little while. When I decide that I'm had a gut full of that, I'll get up. Then I have to decide that I need to have a shower. Then I realize that I've actually got something on that day. I've got to go and speak at a school or I've got to do something. So then my mind starts to go into overdrive. Now, all I can think about is what I need to do. So I'm going through all the motions of my daily morning, just completely on robotic thing. Shower, breakfast. It's all the same. All happens exactly the same way. But in my mind, I'm preparing myself. I'm already starting this marathon. The fears and the anxiety are already starting to hammer me. And I'm like, okay, I just got to keep pushing. I just got to keep pushing. Uh, the whole drive there, all I'm thinking about is what are the interactions going to be like? I'm rehearsing in my head. I'm going over different ways that conversations could go. And it's absolutely nothing like what's going to happen in reality. It never is because life is chance. You don't know what somebody wants to talk to you about when they see you. So you show up at the thing, you do what you need to do, and you do it to the best of your ability. And inside you, your heart's crying. You don't want to be there. You're nervous. You're anxious. You're full of fear, but you push it down and you just keep going and you keep going. And then you've got to drive home. And then you've got to see your family. And you want them all to get the best of you. At the end of that time, you're done. You're spent. You have no emotional energy to do anything. Now it gets better. I don't have to fake it every time now because all of my mental health symptoms are more or less under control. So it's a lot easier now. But when I was struggling, trying to fake it for a whole day, you'd just get home and you'd be wrecked. You'd have nothing. And I realized that my relationship with my kids was suffering because I was so exhausted from the day that all I could give them was grunts and nods. It's exhausting. Another danger, the third danger, you can focus more on fake it till you make it than on your recovery. You can get so consumed with faking it till you make it that you aren't doing the basic things that you need to do. So for me in the public service, what may have worked, and we tried shorter hours, then we tried shorter days. And when I did a 2, 3, 4 hour day, I could pretty much get through that okay. Sort of. I was a bit tired. But even when I was at the radio station, I really only had about 4 good hours a day in me. And I loved that job. And thankfully, my symptoms were under control. So faking it till I make it wasn't really an issue. But when I first started at the radio station, it really was. I'd have to walk in and go, okay, I need to give my best on air. I'm a radio presenter. I take that seriously. I don't want to sound like I'm like Bob's radio, like I'm just some dude that showed up and is just spouting nonsense. I wanted to come across prepared. I wanted to come across engaged, and I wanted to come across professionally. And that stood me in good stead through my whole tenure of time in radio. I stood out apart from my colleagues because of the fact that my professionalism was very high. Now, in the beginning, that was an act. And yes, fake it till you make it worked on some of these days. But other days, I would have to face my reality and just go, you know what? I have to get to work. I have to do this show. That's a non-negotiable. I have to do it. What I don't have to do is try and do the grocery shopping beforehand or do something mentally exhausting beforehand. So I learned that instead of faking it till I make it and burning myself out like I did in the public service, I just husband my energy. I save my energy for when I need it. So in the morning, you'd wake up, you've got a show that afternoon, you're not feeling the best. So I would just chill and I would give myself permission to chill. Just don't worry about it. Don't think about it. You've got it under control. You know what you're doing. You're good at it. You'll do your preparation when you need to, and it'll be good. It took a long time for me to learn that, to just go, you know what? Faking it till you make it is okay in some situations, but other times you just have to be who you are. And there were times on the radio when I was like, yeah, we're going to listen to this song and it's going to be great. Here it is. This is blah, blah, playing blah, blah. And then I would sink and rest my head on the table because I was just so sad and depressed. I'd be watching the timer count down. You got 30 seconds, you got 20 seconds. Sit back up, shake myself, slap myself in the face. Okay, wow, I love that song. That was really good. Now we're going to have a listen to this or blah, blah. We got an interview or we got this or we got that. I realized that faking it till I make it every second of every day was taking away from my own recovery. It was hurting my own recovery. On those days, I knew that I wasn't doing great. I knew that I couldn't be as engaged in certain ways. So on a day where I wasn't feeling it, there'd be less jokes, but there would still be my enthusiasm for coming across. But I had to learn that. I had to learn that, you know, faking it till you make it is good, but at times you just have to face reality and you have to do the things that are going to be healthy for you rather than the things that you quote unquote want to do. Lastly, it can feel like a lie. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You could make the argument either way. Sometimes I sit on the fence and sometimes I'm, yes, it's a lie. Sometimes I'm, no, it's not. But I've learned in what situations I need to fake it till I make it. We had a family function just recently and it was wonderful. A lot of great things happened on that night. And there was actually some healing, some difficult situations that the family had been through, misunderstandings, and we were able to work through that. And it was a really great night. It was really nice with my outlaws. I really enjoyed it. But it got to a point where I was done and I knew that I was done. And I was like, you know what? I've just got to push myself. I've got to fake it. Probably leaving in about 15 minutes. It changed the whole tenor of the evening for me. I started feeling like I was lying to these people, having chats with people, feeling like I really don't want to talk to you, but I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. And perhaps this interaction will be a bright spot for you. This will be a positive. And it's not real. But that feeling like I was lying, it really tainted the evening for me. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it does. That idea that I had to go from just being me, and believe me, there was a lot to struggle with on that evening. I had a lot of triggers thrown in my face at that evening. And overall, it was a monster success for my mental health. My wife and I commented on how well I navigated all of the triggers, like, you know, buying the food. People were pushing in past me for some reason, and I didn't understand why. And I was getting mad. And I was like, no, just let it go. It doesn't matter. And then right beside the line where you buy your food, there's a table of like 15 people with intellectual disability, Down syndrome, a few other things. Clearly, a group of people who had disability, who were out for a night out, and God bless them, they were having a great time. They couldn't know that their very presence was sending daggers into my mind of fear and outrageous desperation to get away from them, feeling like they were attacking me or were about to. Nothing that they did would do this. It's just, they triggered me. It's just one of my triggers. So overall, the entire night was a massive success, but it was let down by that feeling that I was lying. And that's probably for me the biggest problem I have with fake it till you make it. Because I think about the people that I knew in the public service. And to me, those people knew a stranger. They knew somebody that I didn't recognize because I wasn't myself. And when I did act like myself, it was really surprising to people. So the day that I had my breakdown, I was rude to a number of people. And it was bad. I don't want to think about it. But I think about the person that those people knew, and it wasn't me. And I can't put any value in those relationships because I feel like I lied to them for the 3 years that I worked for them, with them, around them. Fake it till you make it. Let me be clear, can be a good thing when it's done carefully and when it's done intentionally. Decide how long you need to fake it for. Decide at what point you're not making it. Do you just pull the plug? I am pushing myself to get involved in this situation. It is now impacting me negatively. It is time to leave. What are my obligations? Sometimes your mental health will be more important than your obligations. I volunteer with MEACT and we go to different schools. And I love that they say that right up to the moment that I open my mouth to speak to a class, at any time, I can say, I don't want to do this. So if I'm just about to open my mouth and I decide that this is really bad for my mental health on this particular day, I can walk away, no judgment. I didn't believe it until I'd seen it myself. And I supported other people that did the same thing. And I didn't think less of them. In fact, I admired them for understanding that what they were about to do was going to affect their mental health negatively. And that's what I mean about by being intentional. Be purposeful. Put your recovery, your mental health above your obligations. Sometimes that can be painful, and I get that. But at other times, it'll be the best thing you can possibly do. So, fake it till you make it, good or bad, depends on how you use it. Like so much in life, I guess. Hey, I want to thank you for listening to Shattered, the podcast this week. My name has been Mark. Don't forget, my book is out. You can get it on Amazon. I'm going to put all the links in the comments in the description below. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Shattered, the podcast. I'd like to thank our producer, Meredith Brosnan, our executive producer, Torian Lau, and the band Adelaide for allowing us to use their song as our theme. Go to shatteredthepodcast.com for more information.